हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम टू ब्राह्मी एकेडमी। बहुत सारे बच्चों के बहुत ज़्यादा डिमांड आ रही थी कि मैम इंग्लिश के लिए कुछ भी सिलेबस में अच्छे से मिल नहीं पा रहा है, कहीं पे भी नोट्स नहीं है, बुक्स नहीं है, कोई भी प्रॉपर पढ़ा नहीं रहा है, तो कैसे हम कंप्लीट करें। तो सबकी भारी डिमांड पर हम लेकर आए हैं बहुत ही अच्छे सर, हमारे आदित्य सर, जो आपको इंग्लिश में MPPSC का सारा सिलेबस कंप्लीट कराएंगे। जितना भी नया ऐड हुआ है वो, उसके साथ साथ जितना भी आपका है सिलेबस, सारा का सारा वो भी टाइमली कंप्लीट कराएंगे। साथ ही साथ उनके पढ़ाने का तरीका बहुत ही अच्छा है। जब आप पढ़ेंगे तो आपको खुद समझ में आएगा कि बहुत अच्छे तरीके से, बहुत ही शानदार तरीके से, सरल तरीके से वो आपको सारी चीजें समझाएंगे।
Namaskar and welcome to Brahmi Academy. MPPSC has recently recalibrated the civil services exam syllabus, MPPSC civil services exam syllabus. In that, history portion is added, and in it the idea and concept portion has been added. In that series we are going to learn about Vedas. Moving forward, let's understand how did we derive to this word Vedas. See, it is said that the birth of Vedas happened after the Almighty Lord Brahma, when he was asked what should people do when the earth, the beautiful earth he has created, what should they do? So he said, I am giving you few books, testaments, and according to them you need to follow each and everything and provide yourself a way of life and indulge yourself in explaining what should a man be doing, what should a person be doing. And from there itself the Vedas got its origin. It's always said that in the pre-practice era, the root word for Vedas is Vid. It's a Sanskrit word which means to have knowledge of or to know about it. The sequence, the knowledge. Do you remember, like if you have studied a bit of history, you must have known about Satyarth Prakash, a book written by Dayananda Saraswati ji. He used to say, back to Vedas, back to Vedas. This was the cry given by him, the explanation, the slogan given by him. Now, why did he say so? He said that Vedas are infallible, they cannot be challenged, they are the best material available to humans, so we should follow Vedas. So the complete meaning of Vedas is about knowledge or to know. According to Dr. Mangaldev Shastri, he has studied and recommended himself that Vedas have a field of studying materials, where he said that Veda or Vidya, these two words mean similar. Let's take about a few of the technological things like Dhanurved or Dhanurvidya. These two terminology. The archery means bow and arrow. The weapon earlier used, if you have seen Mahabharata or if you have seen Ramayana, you must have known about it, that archery or bow and arrow, Dhanurvidya, like the great Parashuram who taught Bhishma Pitama, and then Dronacharya was the guru of Kaurav and Pandav. He was the one who taught Arjun Dhanurvidya. So when Dr. Mangaldev Shastri, he says that Vedas is all about getting Ved or Vidya. He tells that these two words are similar, be it Ayurvedya or Ayurved, similar to Dhanurved and Dhanurvidya, the same things. Moving forward, there's a Latin word with the name Vidre. It too has the same origin. It also means idea or vision. Vedas don't only define what exactly is to be studied. It is not just the explanation part of knowing what exactly things are. The more important part is getting the idea, the vision, the ideology that needs to be perspective and put forward. This has to be attained with the knowledge that transcends from our gurus. In the later portion, I'll just teaching you. So this is where, and we all know the mother of all language has to be Sanskrit. So be it Latin or any other Indo-Australian languages, the word which derive from Sanskrit are the word other followed by. So in Latin also there is a word videre, which means idea and vision. Now the next thing, I have all repeatedly told you the starting of these sequence happened when we told them about the section of knowledge. Now let's think about what all things are there in Vedas. There have been a presentational system, a bias been put forward, wherein Vedas have explained the diminish of human societies from the mammoth or the incremental exchange to the downwards motion. In Apashta Dharma Sutra, When you look about the versatile aspects of Veda, there are two things. If you take the concept of narrow concept, that's the gauged concept, you'll find out it is just a simple set of rules and regulation which person needs to follow. It is a sort of code of conduct. What will you say? Code of conduct. Collection of explanations, collections of data, collections of how one should practice things. So that was known as Samhita. This has to be N, Sanhita. In Hindi we write it. So it's that, Sanhitas. Mantras are the hymns or the shloks. These are the mantras for they were said or told so as to make people, the gods and the goddesses, feel good about it, feel happy about it. Those were the words to please the gods and goddesses. So these are mantras. So in literal meaning or the small meaning, Vedas could be said the collection or the samhitas of those texts, but it is more than that. So that is why I'm saying you, if you just narrowly speak about it, it is just the collection of the samhitas. But when you talk about the broad explanation, this consists from samhitas to Upanishads to Aranyakas to Brahmans and everything. Vedas have given birth to each and every literature that is present in modern India. I'm saying this thing, and this is not exaggeration, just understand. In the course of time, when we will be discovering and studying about different things, then I will be telling you how Vedas have shaped how human thinking should be evolved in this landmass, beautiful landmass known as India, the Indian landmass, जिसको आप आर्यवर्त भी कहते हैं. This Aryavart or the Bharat Khand that has to be there, that is there. This is what Vedas have taught us and Vedas will tell you. See, our human life, we have different curious imaginations, different curious complexities. So it is said that Vedas, when they were exponentially taught by the sages or the gurus of our time, it is said Lord Brahma made an explanation about how things generated. Then it was passed on to different gurus, so the rishis, the Sapt rishis essentially, and they evolved different ideas. All these ideas were transcended and made into collaborative efforts of Vedas, and this happened. Moving forward, as I told you earlier, if you just want to look about that small concept or the very niche or parochial viewed concept, you'll just feel that Samhita or it is Sankalan, that is collection. Like in the recent time, there was a bill passed, Indian Penal Code, Criminal Procedure Code, all these things were changed. It was now named Bharati Nyaya Sanhita. What is it? Again, a collection of all the data, that is legal prudence, how legal prudence should be followed forward. That is all it is. Next is Shushruta Samhita. This is a book written on medical science, or to be exact, it is the surgery science. Book written on surgery. Shushruta, famous sage, his books are there being read on in different parts of this world. Also, he has been adored by different universities, then Australian universities and few universities in Europe, where scientific achievements are being taken up. So Shushruta, you will find mentions of his, because he was the first person who wrote or read things about surgery. So you could find. So I'm just telling you, this Samhita, this word, again it is an Sanhita. This Sanhita, it's all about that collection. So if you talk Vedas to be just collection of data or information, then you just call it Samhitas, but it is more than that. Coming forward, you find the literature, this Samhita literature, what it is. See, Indian culture, no one can actually date how old it is. The reason behind this is, we find our books to be quite new, relatively new. But this isn't the reason. I'll just tell you how different historians have calculated the age of Vedas, and no one could actually fix it up. The reason behind is this: we all had this Guru Shishya Parampara. In this Guru Shishya Parampara, it was said that Gurus used to teach their Shishya, they used to learn, memorize it, recite it in front of the Guru, and then carry it forward to the next generation of the next disciples. So this was known as Smriti and Shruti, Shruti and Smriti, wherein the Guru used to teach to his or her disciple, wherein they used to first listen, that is Shruti, and then by heart. Remember it, by heart it, that's Smriti. Then Shruti and Smriti, this was the tradition or the parampara. It could be asked to you, how was Samhita literature put forward in the world, in the human, in the mankind, in the Indian civilization? Then the answer has to be by the tradition system of Shruti and Smriti, or like listening and then remembering. That is what it is. Now again, there have been various subjects which were dealt in Vedas. Vedas are said to be collection of mantras. These mantras are something which are read for a purpose. This could be for the purpose of pleasing someone, eventually the god or the goddesses. It could be for the pleasure purpose. Pleasure means the mental pleasure or the aesthetic purpose. Now think about something. When you look for calmness, you keep on chanting. In fact, meditation is there. All of these things, when you take into consideration, these mantras drive a purpose. These mantras could be found in Hindu way of life and even Buddhist way of life, because Buddhism also they chant mantras. In Jainism too they chant mantras. Means Sanatan, this complete tradition of chanting mantras was always there. So this Vedas are nothing but collection of different sort of mantras which are propounded so as to please different deities or the goddess or the goddesses, with respect to understanding to the achievement of moksha, the different purushas that we are going to talk about in the later part. So these are collection of mantras and nothing else. These mantras are even rhythmic and sometimes in the prose form. What is rhythmic? See, there are ways of reading a mantra. This could be in a poetic form, or it could be written in a passage form. When you talk about mantras, they are different in nature. In the coming lectures, when we are going to teach, when we are going to learn about Brahmans and Aranyakas and Upanishads, there we are going to discuss what different passages mean, what different poetic versions means. But as of now, just remember in Vedas, these mantras were there. These mantras had a fulfilled agreement wherein it could be whether read rhythmically or even in prose, that is in passage form. These mantras could be in passage form or they could be in poetic form itself. These mantras were called Rik. Rik were also called Richas. That's nothing more than this. You must have heard about different mantras to be different names. So it was just the name. The simple dhatu or the root word is Rik, and then it was further called as Richa. These compilations, when they were taken up, it was found as all these samhitas were on the basis of subject matter. What is this subject matter? Understand, when humans evolved, they became curious. The first things human did was sleeping on their back, this side. When we used to sleep on our back, our eyes were up above the sky, looking at that plain sky, looking at stars, the night, or in the morning itself the moon. We used to ask questions. These questions which were generated in our head, these had different aspects. Now when a person used to die, let's talk about the story of Buddha. When he was a prince, he was out there visiting his empire. He saw a person was dying, he saw a person in pain, he saw a child playing in harmony, he was very happy. He asked, what is it all? There you find curiosity being born. That is how we evolved from different time, different ages. So this is nothing, this is simple purpose of understanding what exactly these things are. So in Vedas we have compilation of all these questions, we have answered it, we have tried to answer it so that the humans can have their life being put forward into a strain without understanding the complexities of life, and it could be easy for them. That is why in the Dayananda Saraswati ji has always told back to Vedas, because he knew the strength of it. No person, be it Swami Vivekananda ji, he has also told you that Vedas are infallible. We need to go back to them, and that is why he has given the philosophy of Vedant. So always understand how rich our culture and our tradition was. Let's move forward. There is a belief which I have already told you that Brahma ji, that is Lord Brahma, when he created this beautiful earth or the universe that he was crafting, because that is what he was born for. When he made this earth, then he made different Ritvij. Then he made different Ritvij. These Ritvij were nothing but these were sort of sages. Sant, or what we say, Guru. These were people who saw Brahma doing all these things. So he asked them, what have you all seen? He said that we have seen that you have created this beautiful earth and you have created Vedas. Now what is our work? Just tell us that too. So he said, all you Ritrij who have seen me doing different things, I have created 4 Vedas. That is Rig Ved, Yajur Ved, Sam Ved, Earth Ved, and Samved. So all of these things need to be taken up and have to be understood by different people. For that I'm appointing you people. So he appointed 4 Ritvij, that is Hotri and Hotra, Advaryu, Udgata and Brahmana. We are going to learn about these 4 Ritvij. Remember them. You must have heard about them, be it in any normal text in history book or any like Lucent or simple book also. You must have heard about Hotri or Hota. He is the proponent, he is the one who is mentioned for Rig Ved. We are going to understand what exactly it is in this next slide. So now understand this Hotri person, when Brahma ji created this entire world and he said in Rig Ved that this Ved is all about fire altars, yagna. You need to perform different yagna so as to please the deities, and these deities when being pleased, they will award you with different things which are your questions. It might be anything, the worldly pleasure or anything you might be asking for. To perform the yagnas for these things, there has to be a sage, there has to be a person, and he was known as Hotri. The person who used to do the rituals, all those things which are there in Rig Ved, those rituals were performed by the person. His name was Hotri, or the Hotras, you can say. Moving forward, now for yagna, there are different sort of people who perform it. One person who is performing it, who is there reading out the mantras or the shloks being performed in the yagna. The other who arrange for fire altars. This yagna is known as fire altar. I'm pretty sure that you people must be knowing about it. Fire altars are yagna kund or the havan kund. To make all those efforts, like to make different things, that yagna or the havan kund, to bring about the things which are needed to put in that fire, the sacrificial things, all those purposes were arranged by Advaryu. It was arranged by Advaryu. The mention we find it in Yajurved. He is the person who brings everything that is necessary for a yagna. So his work was solely to support the Hotra or the Hotri. He was the main person or the principal sage who used to sit and perform that yagna for the Jajaman, whosoever he or she may be. And Advaryu was the person whose purpose was to arrange for each and everything that was needed in that yagna. So the mention we find it in Yajurved. Always remember this thing. This could be asked in examination also. His work was to find and support the Hotra. The third was Udgata. This has to be double D. Do it right. Udgata. Now see, the next thing that was necessary during all those things is the main Hotra used to perform yagna. He used to say different things about whatsoever was happening. But in background, it was also necessary for him to be heard with other deities. Those deities need to be pleased with this ritual. When it was performed, it was asked that they are in different gods who are there. They need to sing in praises. So this singing thing, you must have seen in various movies, or even when there are yagna happening, the big yagna, there's a main person who performs. The jajman is sitting there, then the hotra is sitting there. He is the person who is performing it. The other vayu are the person who brings in everything that is needed for yagna. And then there are people, there are other sages who sit there. They are known udgata. They sing praises for the Lord. They repeatedly chant, put on chants, and different words are being spoken. This is being taken up by udgata. He is the person who is in charge of singing. They are, in fact, I must say they are. He is not one. They are the person who are in charge of singing hymns repeatedly so as to please different lords and deities. Sort of background music, if you just want to understand it silently, easily, it is some sort of background music that is being played in this entire system. These musics were again spiritual in nature and everything. So what they conveyed were nothing but the praises of lords, different gods. And in the earlier Vedic period, or the time when things used to be there were few gods itself, be it Rudra, be it Indra. So gods and goddesses like these were there. And the next, which are Brahma. It is related to Atharva Ved. Let me tell you a story. It is said that the Rajputs, they found their origin from a yagna performed by a sage, because he wanted to protect the yagna he was doing for deities and everything. So it is said that their origin was from this Agnikund or Havanikund. Similarly, let's get back to Ramayana Kal. When Vishwamitra ji took Ram and Lakshman with him so that he could perform a yagna, because there were few monsters, Rakshas, who were disturbing these yagna. So for that, someone was there needed so as to guard this yagna so that it doesn't get spoiled. So the fourth person, or the fourth Ritvij, was known as Brahma. His purpose was to protect that ceremony which was happening. So we had four Ritvij. One was Hotra, a Hotri. He was the main person who used to do all that yagna and everything, who was sitting with the Jajman and performing that yagna for him. Second, we have Adhravayu, who used to get all the necessary items that was needed to perform the yagna. Third one was Udgata. He used to sing the background praises for the lords or the goddess which was there. So he used to do that. And the fourth was Ritvij, was Brahma. He used to protect each and everything that was there. So in all the four Vedas, we find mention of each one of Ritvij, and these Ritvij used to perform their activities, their duties. So it was orchestrated in this way that the successful yagna could be complete, and this yagna was corresponding to karma of the person who was doing it. In further lectures, we are going to understand this thing. So please remember these four names which are important. It is Hotri, Adhravayu, Udgata, and Brahma. Again, so in all those four samhitas, that is four Vedas, we find the performing functions of these four Ritvij, which I have already told you. Moving on. Let's start Rig Ved. Rig Ved is the oldest text to ever exist on this entire planet. I'm not exaggerating it. I'm completely saying it with honesty. No one can ever challenge this thing. No one can refuse this thing, because no one has actually found what is the exact age of Rig Ved. Let me tell you, it is said that the Hebrew Testament of Bible, the Hebrew Bible, is said to be the oldest book written or said. It might be the oldest book written, but the oldest book available in this complete for this complete humankind has to be Rig Ved. I'm an Indian. I'm not saying this with proud or audacity. I'm telling the truth to you people, cause Rig Ved has to be the oldest, because it finds its origin, I don't know how long. We find so many things which are written in Rig Ved which has to be at least 10,000 year olds. So no one has ever found what exact age of Rig Ved is. So in our Indian system, or the books we study, it is said to be the oldest text. Without a doubt, this text has to be the oldest. In Rig Ved, knowledge that is contained in verses. Everything we found in verses in Rig Vedas, there are the thing is, so we find it complex to understand. We find it difficult to orchestrate. That is why we have different Brahmana and Agaranyakas and Upanishads which come out of Rig Ved, and then we understand all of those things. So this is the oldest book and one of the toughest book to understand. Moving on. In Rig Ved, we find Gotra Mandal. which are also said as Vansh Mandal or Rishi Mandal. What are these? We find close to 10 mandals. I'm just going to tell you in further slides. There are two type of things which are important. One is mandal and then second is arc. These mandals was nothing but divisions. These divisions were written on different rishis who have found and written about Vedas in different ways. So we find the necessary things like second division, third division to seventh division. This is the old thing, and the 8th to 8th, 9th, 1st and 10th, these are new, in which 1st and 10th, these are the newest. All these things have to be understood. You need not to learn who has written second division, who has written third division. That's not necessary. I've just written you, I mentioned you for the sake of completion, but you don't need to read it, you don't need to by heart it. But just remember, many of these sages, you could find them, these names in general, like Vashishtha, Bharadwaj, Grihananda, Vamdev. These different sages could be found in Saptarishis, the 7 sages or the Saptarishi. These Saptarishi are said to be the child of Lord Brahma. He made all of them, and these were the people who founded the different origins of humans in this entire world. So whenever we talk about Gotra in our Indian culture, in Sanatan Dharma, there is a thing named as Gotra. These goats are maximum named after these sages, the Saptarishis, be it Bharadwaj, be it Vashishtha, Shandalya, Kashyap, all these 7 Saptarishis, the name is originated from these people itself. So always remember, in Mandal, the second division is said to be the one among the oldest, and the newest are 1st and 10th. This could be anything. This is also known as the Gotra Mandal or the Vansh Mandal or the Rishi Mandal. Understand why Vansh Mandal? Because we learn about the Vanshavali or the hierarchy, the system, how people originated, what was their background, what was their ancestry. So everything, these details have been provided. So that is why it is also known as Vansh Mandal, the Hindi word Vansh, like hierarchy or everything like that. So remember. In third mandal, few important things, these need to be by hearted because these are the questions which are going to come forward. Always remember, in the third mandal, Gayatri mantra is found. You must have heard about it. Gayatri mantra, we say that it is found in Rig Veda, correct? But this is not sufficient for you. You must have learnt it already. Just remember now, it is found in the third mandal, which is written by Vishwamitra ji. Who is Vishwamitra? He is the person who took Lord Ram to Mithila, if you remember. He took Lord Ramji to Mithila for his marriage, and after that all things happened. So he is that Vishwamitra. Now the next important thing is 7th Mandal, where you find about Dasraj warrior. Before Mahabharata, before Ramayana, there happened a very important war. A very important war was being fought between a leader, a king, and 10 different leaders. So that king defeated 10 other kings. This is known as Dasraj war. It was the king who came out victorious was called Sudas. He was from the Bharatiya clan, or some people say it to be Kshatriya clan. That's not needed. Just remember that Dashraj war was fought and is written in 7th Mandal, and the writer of this was Vashishtha. He is the teacher of Lord Ram. So you can clearly understand these mandals were written somewhere back, dating back to Ramayana Kal. So if you estimate the time period which has been found after many different things, close to 6,000 years has already been done. So like 6,000 BCE before that. So it has to be somewhere like how late it has been there, and these Vedas, different things were added into them after different things happened. So always remember, we don't exactly know what's the age, but bare minimum, if you want to say, it has to be close to 6000. Even it is earlier than that too. So let's get back to the next thing. Now the 10th mandal, it is again very important. In 10th mandal we find Purush Sukta. You people can say it to be a book on anatomy. The reason I say this thing is because you learn about different sort of organs a human body possesses, or different indriyas a human body possesses. These indriyas are sense organs. So remember, in Purush Sukta we talk about a Virat Purush. This Virat Purush is nothing but Lord Vishnu. So Lord Vishnu, when observed by Brahma, when he was laying down on that Sheshaya, over the Shesh Nang, he learns that Virat Purush, Lord Vishnu, and there we find the origin of 4 Varnas also. So from this Purush Sukta itself, which is found in 10th Mandal, we find about different things like Lord Vishnu, the anatomy things, that is the body part, sense organs. So it is there. In addition to this thing, also in 10th Mandal we find Nadi Sukt. Nadi, this is river. In Nadi Sukta, the praises for river are being sung. We find details about 25 rivers. In these 25 rivers, most important is said to be Sindhu, which is nothing but Indus River. Also the most pious or the purest one is Saraswati. Now understand this thing. Saraswati, it is been discovered now that it used to flow earlier, but now it has drained out. This age, the age that was found out to be, was close to 8000 years ago. So just think about it. If you are reading about a river that used to flow close to 6000 to 8000 years old, how old actually our texts are. Remember, we have found the names of Ganga as well as Yamuna. Thrice Yamuna's name has been dictated in this Nadi Sukta, and once Ganga's name is dictated. So just think about the horizon we used to live in. So we also find different aspects of human life there, like the geographical expanses, how long, how big the area was when people used to live here. So our history is not compact. It's not what we are being taught by the leftist historian. Our history dates back to the most dynamic era, when people in Europe or any other place were scavenging their butts with leaves and everything and living brutally, like barbarically. We people used to write about all these things, the ideas, the concept, the intellectual thing. So always be proud about it. Just remember, we have been whitewashed. The history, complete history of our India has been whitewashed, so as to make these white people, or the people from who were our rulers or so-called colonizers, who were so-called rulers and colonizers, the pathetic colonizers, they are the one who have taught us this illiterate things, those irresponsible things about our own history. So remember, be happy about it, that we have a chance now to read about it. So now next, also in this Nadi Sukta, I have told you this is found in 10th Mandal. Remember, it is not written here, just remember that. So next part, I told you Rig Veda is divided into 2 krama. This mandal krama I have already told you, wherein 10 mandals are there. These mandals have 85 anuvaks. These are nothing but sort of chapters. Have 182 sukts, nothing but verses. Don't need to get into all of these things. Just remember, in Rig Veda is divided into 2 krams. One is mandal kram, which has 10 mandals and 80 anuvak, and 1028 suktas, nothing more than that. And the next thing that is important, this ashtakram. In ashtakram there are 8 astaks. Astaks are nothing, again sort of chapters itself, but the bigger one, the major portion. All these astaks, like divisions are there, 8 astaks are there. All 8 astaks have 8 adhyas. Adhyas are chapters. In these chapters, then you find again a separation. These are astaks. Then you find adhyas. In adhyas, you find mools and then mantras. So there are further divisions. Don't remember everything about it. Just remember in Ashtakram there are 8 astaks, and in each astaks there are 8 adhyas. So we already have 64 adhyas, 64 chapters. In 64 chapters, completely things. I just remember 2 things: 2 krams, Ashtakram and Mandalkram. Nothing more than this. Now, according to Patanjali, it is like we have found out there are 21 branches of Rig Veda. How many? 21. But the bad part of our civilization is that we still have just one branch with us, that is Shakalya. We have details about this branch itself. Whatsoever we find in our Vedas, in our literary text that we have discovered as of now, this is all present in Shakalya. We have no knowledge about all these things. We find nothing relevant to Vedas, that is Rig Veda, in any of these. In different texts, we find about Brahmans and Upanishads, so they are there, but in about Veda, the Rig Veda portion, we find nothing in it. So this is nothing but a blatant shame on us that we don't even have ample amount of research facilities, that we haven't discovered what exactly we had from our ancestors. So always remember the most important part, like the branches, is Shakalya. This is the only present branch that we read. Anything relevant to Rig Veda is found in Shakalya branch itself. Other these 4, Vetvaskalya, Ashwagandha, Shakalya and Mandukya, all of these are not available to us. We know about them because it was somewhere written that these are the other branches. In total, Patanjali has said there are 21 branches, but we don't even know the names of other other branches, like close to 15 branches. We don't even know their name. So this is what bad has happened to us. So it is very important time, and it is the high time in our history that we need to discover all these artifacts, all these truth about what exactly our civilization is and how big, how great our civilization has been. Moving on to the next portion. Remember, this thing is important from the perspective of examination. We just have information about the Shakalya branch and nothing else. Now, this the most important part, I feel myself. What's the age of Rig Veda? Earlier I have told you some things about it, so obviously you must have this idea now. Max Muller, this is an English historian. Remember, who was Max Muller? Max Muller learnt Sanskrit. He had quite an appetite to learn Sanskrit, what's written in Vedas, Upanishads and everything. These English people, the East India Company appointed him to translate all the books. So he translated close to more than 100 books in his lifetime. When he was working for English people, when he translated them, he couldn't have written that, oh, India is far more ahead than what people think, because East India Company used to narrate, used to put this sentence in each and every one's of our head, that you people are backward people, you people are barbaric people, we are the people who have taught you everything, so listen, we are the person. So it is white man burden. They used to say this thing, white man burden. It is our burden to teach you people what exactly life is, what exactly things are. So you know nothing about it. So accordingly, Max Muller had to write things. There's a famous saying in Africa, unless and until lion runs to write his story, hunters are always going to be the heroes. So remember this thing again. This Max Muller, a person who used to write for English people, the leftist people, the people who used to dominate us, rule us, said that Vedas are just 1200 BC, that is before Christ, just this much old, nothing else. What a shame. What can I say about it? You people judge on yourself, because we have found data, testaments and everything, how old are Vedas. Then there came a great leader India has seen. His name was Bal Gangadhar Tilak. He was sent to jail, if you people remember, after the split in Congress on sedition charges. He was sent to jail, where he was there for like close to 6 years. So there he wrote many books, and there he wrote books about these things also. So he said that these Vedas are close to 6,000 years old. He already said this thing before too, but he wrote a book about that Aryans came from North Pole and each and everything. So according to him, the date of Rig Veda has to be close to 6000 BC. So remember this thing, it was a nationalist leader, Bal Gangadhar Tilak ji. He said Vedas, Rig Veda, the age is like close to 6000 BC. It is older than that. Now the historical period, many other books say that after we discovered places like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, where we found out these were close to 3500 BC old. So it was said that okay, let's adjust this thing, Mueller's time period, and let's say it is close to 2500 BC. But we still know it is far less than what actually is. So the person who was closest to the real age of Rig Vedas was 6000 BC. But as I have already told you, it has to be more than this. Always remember this thing. Now there, the language which was used in Rig Veda had to be two. One was Vedic Sanskrit and other was Laukic Sanskrit. Understand Vedic Sanskrit. Hard. Sanskrit is said to be the language of God. It is so hard to understand, although it is easy now. Artificial intelligence is the one who has said that Sanskrit is the most scientific language. Let's not get into that debate. We have many other days to discuss that. But the Vedic Sanskrit was the hard portion of Sanskrit, wherein only the Ritvij that we have read about, Hotras and the others, used to have knowledge about this thing, or the sages, the saint have to think. The other was Laukic Sanskrit. Laukic, this word means layman. In general use, the normal people or the people who used to talk normally, this was the Laukic Sanskrit. So we find the material of Rig Veda to be in both this Vedic Sanskrit also some portion and some other portion in Laukic Sanskrit. Always remember this thing. Now the next thing, what all knowledge it composes, what Veda holds. There are variety of things. It holds science, science about doing things, science about, as I told you, about health of a thing, about the plant, about body or body. So it had science, material of science, not just metaphysics, but also the science which was relevant to our human body, our human life, the normal life we used to do. So this was the science that we had. We knew about the contemporary culture and civilization. Any book that is written always has a perspective, the perspective of what exactly things are happening around it. So it had the details about all those cultural implications or the cultural thing those were transcending in that period of time. So remember this portion also. In the contemporary cultural portion, the contemporary period, the civilization, how it used to run, what people used to wear, what people used to eat, what people thinks, what people thought about different things. So it is we could find it in any book. This could be found in any book. So quite easily we can draw a reference that we had found this thing in Rig Veda also. All those things could be obtained from the Sukta of Rig Vedas. I told you already, these compilations of Rig Veda, we could find all of these things. Scientific portion was also found. We had knowledge, Vedic sources, like we had knowledge of plant. A plant called som. Remember this thing. This som, the psalm where there's another som that is nectar, sort of nectar, which was used by God and goddesses to drink. That was other form. But remember, there was a plant called som. We find details about it. These details are more than just normal physical appearances. They are even descriptive about what all medicinal purpose it holds, what all things it holds in it. So it is the scientific knowledge that we find from Rig Veda. So always remember, there is a plant named som. It could be asked, what is the plant which is mentioned in Rig Veda? The answer has to be good. Deism. Always remember the important part, this deism. It is said to be Deovad. In Rig Veda, we don't just find about things that are necessary, how to succeed in life, how to find yourself, but the most important portion is to how survive with humanity, with dignity, with respect to other people also. That is what important. So deism, the concept of deism, which is also known as Deovad, it explains us that the pursuit of truth, intelligence, remember this thing, the deism or the Deovad, it tells that in search of truth, when you need to find that truth, the best weapon you hold is your intelligence, your wit, your wisdom. That is the best weapon, and also it is the last right. This is the thing that has to be achieved by you. That is the thing that has to be strived for. Always remember this thing. So this is what I have written: in pursuit of truth, to find the essence of truth, to find everything that is real to you, you need to get the best weapon, that is your intelligence, that is your wisdom, that is your wit, which could be derived from Vedas, which could be remembered from it, which could be extracted from it. Always remember this thing, and this is the last right that you people could hold for. Always remember. Vedas are the main praises of God. This is a simple thing that has to be explained, but in real things, what a deism is, I already told you. We used to sing praises for gods, and different things used to happen. So always remember this part. The next thing is, the Vedic sages have divided universe into three parts. These three parts are space, then Akash, and earth. Different things are said. Space is said to be antariksh, Akash is said to be dew. Remember, this is like the Paryavachi Shabd or Samanarthi Shabd for Akash, which is sky, nothing else. And Bhu means earth or the Prithvi. From this word itself we have Bhugol, which is geography. From here itself we have found this word. So always remember, these were our people when there were books written about that earth is flat. When Galileo was persecuted for saying that no, listen, earth is not flat, it's round. We had that perspective in our head. We already wrote books about it. We already said what geography means. It was meant Bhugol. So here we find, just think about what sort of humanity we were. We are the last surviving civilization of this earth. All old civilization, the ancient civilization which were there, have been devastated. They are not yet in their survival state. They have changed, but we are the last surviving civilization. Remember this thing. Find happiness in that. So next motion. So deism is nothing that we have found. Sages have divided universe in three parts, which I told you. One is Bhu, dew, and antariksh. And deism, that is to find the truth. With the most important weapon, the most lethal weapon is your intelligence, and the last right that has to be achieved is again that right of intelligence. Remember this term. This is deism. We find details about this too. Now, more than different things, more than scientific things, we also had philosophical shukta or the darshanik sukta, where we find about darshan, philosophy. See, this word darshan, the philosophy, the term philosophy is a Western orchestrated term. We must always feel that the Indian darshan or the Indian philosophy is said to be darshan because it is different from their philosophical point of view. We found something, we felt about it, we have explained that thing because we have been through that thing. That is why we say it darshan. So it would be better if you people remember it to be darshanik sukta. The important part of this principle had three important things. One was Rith, principle of truth, and principle of soul. Let's understand what exactly these things are. Now, Rith. Rith is nothing but world order. Or in easy language, as people say, jagat ki vyavastha, that is known as rith. Remember this part. The next is principle of truth, how to extract, extrapolate, and how to find the truth, the truth that lies in all of us, that lies in what we feel about, that lies in what we explain, what we understand. That is what it is, principle of truth. And principle of soul, jeev, atma. This is again found in Rig Veda. So the three important part, the philosophical sukta narrate us, are about Rith, that is world order or the order of the world, Vyavastha, Jagat ki Vyavastha in Hindi as you say, principle of truth, and principle of soul and organisms. This is Jeev, Atma, Jeev and Atma. Next thing that is important in Rig Veda are the Samvad Sukta. See, I said you, our Vedas are the books which have given us other literature, other forms of literature. So always remember, anything that we find in different aspects of our life, different stories that we have heard over the time, over the periods, other than the epics, obviously the epics, the other stories which are there in our Indian civilization or the Sanatan civilization, all originated from our Vedas itself. So we find Samvad Sukta also. Samvad means to have a conversation. In this conversation, we talk about different things, what all people had in this. So in Samvad Sukta, this showed the seeds of later narratives. It explained what could be done, what all things were there. See, a basic principle is there. Have you ever heard a person saying that all the stories which were to be told have already been told? Now the style is just developing and the different styles are being narrated. So all that we find in the Samvad Sutra itself, all those stories are there, all those principles behind that stories, that love stories, be it love story, be it tragic, be it drama, be it contemplations, condemnations, all those things, that war and everything was there in Samvad Sukta itself. Later periods, people have developed different aspects of it, and they have found what exactly these things mean. The narrative literature, these are. Now examples are there, the narrative of Pururva and Urvashi, and also Yam Yamini dialogue. This in Pururva and Urvashi, it is about romance. And then Yummy dialogue, it is about lust, desires. In later period, we are going to learn about all these stories, so I need not to explain you what exactly these were, neither they are found here itself. Just remember, if you want to have an idea, Pururva was a king in earth, and Urvashi, although born on earth, was taken up in heaven, like Lord Indra had Urvashi back at his home, that is Devalok or the Swargalok, where she had to come back due to a shrap, a curse which was given to her by some sage. And then a romance, a story developed between Pururva and Urvashi. They had a child, and after that Urvashi had to leave him and abandon him. So a love story which was cut short, which was denied in the further way. And same the story of Yam Yami, which is based on questions and answers of like lust and desires and everything. So all these Samvad Sutra could be found in Rig Veda itself again. So remember the versatility that Rig Veda possesses. Remember the philosophical text it possesses, the scientific terms it possesses, the 4 ritwis that we have learnt about, the different mandals which are there. You need not to remember all of them. Just remember that the first and the 10th are the newest of them, and the 2nd to 7th are the oldest text. You find about different things. Vishwamitra, you find about Vashishta. Gayatri mantra is there from Vishwamitra, Vashishta, Dasraj Yagya is there. Remember all of this. Next time when we read about the other Ved, we are going to revise it all. So keep learning, keep understanding, and yes, let's meet sometime else.